Pulls all the legs. Welcome to Hernando County Schools School Board room and our special service today to recognize some wonderful men and women who have given an awful lot to our country. And we're just so pleased that you could be here with us today. My name is John Sanders, Superintendent of Schools. We have with us some very special dignitaries to share this day with you. Our special dignitaries are Senator Ginny Brown White, Senator, and Representative David Russell, School Board Chairperson Jim Malcolm. Oh, he's way in the back. He insists on standing back there, but Mr. Malcolm will be up here sooner. Mrs. Sandra Nicholson from the School Board. And a retiree from, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Malcolm is an ex-military man, served in Vietnam. and Mr. Jerry Milby, another Vietnam veteran, also a member of our school board. Two other members of the school board would have been here, but they're at the Value Adjustment Board hearing this afternoon and had to be there. They represent the school district in that exercise, and they could not get away. But they do extend to you their congratulations as well. I'm sure that you as veterans know what happened this past spring and summer, but maybe those in the general public are not aware, and we are televising this program through our HITV program, so it will go out to the general community. And it's appropriate that they know that the legislature last year and the governor of our state recognized those graduates or those veterans of World War II who did not graduate from high school and granted them their diplomas from the state of Florida. And we thought that, gee, what a great idea. Why didn't we think of that sooner? And as a way of recognizing and honoring the folks who gave their time during that conflict. So as we thought about, well, gee, what can we at the school level do to take part in this? We thought, well, gee, here it is coming up on Veterans Day, and what a better time than to step up and say thank you personally to these folks for the job that they did and the time they gave to the service of their country. So here we are, and I'm really pleased that you're here with us. We appreciate it very much, and we have some things to give to you, and I want to remind you that when we finish, there's a nice, beautiful cake back there and some punch that we'd like you to stick around and say hello to each other, because some of you may not know that you live in the same community and that you are all, you know, veterans of that last supposedly conflict, but you know we've had a few more since then. The refreshments are compliments of the Hernando Foundation, and they also extend to you their heartfelt thanks and appreciation. I just received a memo from Commissioner Gallagher regarding this activity across the state, and it was kind of timely. I was just handed it before I walked in here. There are over 1,400 veterans who have been awarded their high school diploma in the state of Florida. Okay? We have 47 of them. Well, we had 47 of them. At the time of this order, there were 47. Unfortunately, we've lost 4 between that time and now, but we will recognize those gentlemen as well. But Mr. Gallagher says that our World War II veterans deserve our gratitude for leaving school to serve their country, and this small gesture is a way to show how much we appreciate their sacrifice. So with that, I'd like to introduce to you now a retired colonel from the United States Army and also past chaplain of the Florida National Guard to do our invocation. Well, here I go, jumping ahead. Sorry, Robin, you're going to have to wait a minute. I need to recognize our military escorts here, the Honor Guard from Central High School's brand new Navy JROTC program under the leadership of Chief Wendell Day, Chief, in the back. And we thank you very much, young men and women, for being a part of this. And may I introduce to you Victoria Richburg, Seaman Victoria Richburg, who will come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
If you will please stand with me as I say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty for all. Justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you, Seaman. A little change in our program because the Hernando crew was not able to be here. We brought Victoria in at the last minute to do that, and I appreciate that, Victoria. Now, if I might, the Reverend Robin Murray, if you'll come forward for the invocation, please.
Thank you, John. I don't know whether I got invited because I'm a retired colonel or because I'm your pastor or whatever. But anyway, I just came from another luncheon. I came from the Retired Officers Association of Hernando County, and I bring greetings from that organization to you all that are getting your diplomas today. So if you just remain seated, we'll have a short prayer. Almighty God, who has given us this good land for our heritage, we humbly beseech you that we may always prove ourselves a people mindful of your favor and glad to do your will. Bless our land with honorable industry, sound learning, and pure manners. Save us from violence, discord, and confusion, from pride and arrogance, and from every evil way. Defend our liberties and fashion into one united people the multitudes brought hither out of many kindreds and tongues. Endue with the spirit of wisdom those to whom in your name we entrust the authority of government, that they may be justice and peace at home, and that through obedience to your law we may show forth your praise among the nations of the earth. In the time of prosperity, fill our hearts with thankfulness. In the day of trouble, suffer not our trust in you to fail, and all of which we ask in your name. Amen. And we shall just pause for a minute, because many of us have comrades that you served with who are no longer with us, the four that have passed away since the legislature and governor authorized these awards. And shall we pray? They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. They shall not weary, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun in the morning, we will remember them. A grateful nation remembers.
Thank you, Robin. I appreciate that. The reasons were both. One, because you're a leader, and the other, I need all the help I can get. It's my pleasure to introduce to you now the chairman of our school board, make a few remarks, Mr. Jim Malcolm.
Thank you, Dr. Sanders. I appreciate that. I want to tell you today and very briefly that I am awed, frankly, to be in your presence. Today is a historic day. As Dr. Sanders mentioned, I was a Vietnam veteran. That was a war, 2 wars past yours. It doesn't certainly have in our history books the aura that yours does, but it was a time that I'll not forget. And I'm sure that I share with you when I say there were times when I was there that I said, what's this all about? Why am I here and what am I doing? And today, we in Florida are looking at where is the next commander of chief? Where is the next president? What is going on? In any other country in this world, it would be a crisis. In any other country in this world, there would be chaos. In any other country in this world, there would be those fighting others to take power away from someone else. And I realize that this nation is going to get over this little glitch, and that's what it is, a little glitch. We have a commander-in-chief that's in place. He's there. The government's in place. The government is going to work. The government is going to survive. The government is going to succeed. And so as I look back on what it was that I thought about, what am I doing here? I'm here, or I was there, as you were there, to fight for the greatest country on the face of the earth. And I simply want to say to you again, I am awed to be in your presence, and I am pleased that we as a school district and a school board can give the certificates that you people really, really deserve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Malcolm. Now it's my pleasure to again introduce to you the senator from our region, representing us for 2 terms now, I believe, and doing it very admirably, the Honorable Jenny Brown-Waite.
Thank you very much. I always have to bring the microphone down, not being vertically as endowed as you are. First of all, when the bill first was drafted in the Florida Senate, I couldn't help but think of my dad and my uncles who served in World War II, none of whom were ever able to finish their high school education. I couldn't help but think and mirror that for the virtual hundreds of thousands throughout our country. We are so grateful for your service and certainly your lifetime experiences. Receiving this high school diploma today is really just an acknowledgement for all that you all have contributed. As you know, the requirement is that you had to have started high school between 1937 and 1946. Now, I could fib to you and tell you I wasn't even born then, but I'd be lying. And you had to have had service from 1940 to 1946 and have had an honorable discharge. Every Veterans Day, when I'm asked to speak before veterans groups, and Saturday I'm going down to the Veterans Nursing Home in Pasco County, it saddens me to see less and less of a public awareness of veterans and all that they have contributed. You know, when I grew up, Veterans Day wasn't just a day off from school, and it wasn't just when the banks were closed. It was a major holiday. There were parades, and everybody was so proud. I mean, the pride of the military, the pride of people who had served our country. And today, it is just getting less and less. And I often challenge, when I speak before veterans groups, I challenge them to educate younger people in their neighborhood exactly what the war was and what being a veteran and what your service meant. At the time you all went to war, unlike when Jim Malcolm was in Vietnam and my brother and cousins and multitude of family members, the whole country was behind you when you served. You know, the recent book that's out, The Greatest Generation, if you haven't read it, you need to read it. It really highlights the fact that you all are the greatest generation. You had the most devotion to our country and the greatest service. And today, I'm very proud to be your senator and to be assisting in the presentation of these degrees. And I put in a pitch because I also teach college. Go to college now, darn it. Don't stop now. Go to college. To me, learning is a lifetime experience, and you all could teach college courses, but it's with great pride that I will be participating today. And just a personal thank you from the rest of the senators. There's only one senator who represents Hernando County, but there are a total of 40 senators, and unlike at the national level, we know who got elected. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. And now it's my pleasure to introduce to you a very happy man, because he was just recently elected. The Honorable David Russell, representing a portion of Hernando County, but a major portion. David?
Thank you, Doctor, and thank you all. It's a privilege to be here with you all today. This occasion has a very special significance for me. I can tell you back this spring on the floor of House of Representatives, when this very special bill came before us, my mind went back to a story my dad's related to me many, many times. In the year 1944, my grandfather, Domain David Russell, chief in the United States Navy, sir, very much looking like you, sir, with a sleeve full. Pulled my father, then 17 years old, out of his senior year of high school halfway through. His concern was that they would draft his son immediately out of school and send him into the Army over to fight in the vicious battles in Europe. He at that time took my dad and enlisted him in the Navy at the age of 17 years old, where he served for the duration and got out 3 years later. Well, all of my life, I've had to listen to my dad relate to me that he is one of the very few high school dropout college graduates he knows. Last spring, when we passed this bill off the floor of the House of Representatives, I called my father and I said, "Dad, guess what we did today? You can no longer tell me that you're not a high school graduate, because you are. And I will tell you, I've finally put the paperwork in. He didn't. I put the paperwork in. I haven't received it back yet, but it will be a very, very fine day for me when I can present that to him." It is an honor and a privilege to be a part of this process today, and I'll look forward to greeting each one of you recipients when you come up. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And you know, that does bring to mind something that I wanted to mention earlier. We have invited all of those folks who we know about. And the only way we know about it is from them making the application, I believe, back to the Department of Education for their diploma. In fact, would you believe we received one today? And so we have, I hope, that gentleman here to be a part of the program. So, you know, we may have missed some folks out there who should be here, and I apologize for that, but we just didn't know who they were. And I don't know how we'll fix that up. If we find out who they are, we'll be glad to get them a certificate, but of course we can't repeat this. So I just want to let them know that if they are out there, and they are completing their application process, we'll give you a certificate too, David. Give to your dad. Be happy to do that. Also, I'd like to bring to you a retired U.S. Marine who is the Director of Veterans Affairs in Hernando County, Major Ken Wrinkle.
Not to belabor what's already been said about you all, but 16 million of you went off to war. Most of them were drafted after high school. I don't know of any that were drafted during high school, but you nonetheless went off to what many thought was a great adventure, an opportunity to get away from home. Yeah, a few of you are laughing out there. You see, I fill out most of these applications, me or my staff, so we heard a lot of stories. But the most important one was when you all got back, there was a big world out there, a big economy, and you wanted to get on with life. And you did very well out there. Our country did extremely well in those years when you came back. And you forgot about that high school degree. So we were awfully glad to help you out. Now, I've only done about 110 of these things in this county. So if you've got neighbors out there, ask them, did you get your high school degree? Because we can still get them. And we feel that we should be doing a few more out there. Congratulations, gentlemen. You finally got this degree. One lady.
Thank you, Ken. Well, with that, what I'd like to do is to take this opportunity then to bring each of you forward and present you with a certificate from the Hernando County Schools in recognition of your accomplishment. I might mention that most of you should have received your official diploma already in the mail. So that has been done, and you're not getting an official diploma today, but you are getting a certificate of appreciation from the Hernando County Schools. So with that, Senator, if you'd be kind enough, and Representative, come up here. Mr. Malcolm. And then, as I call your name, folks, if you are able, and I hope you are all able, to come up and come across here in front of us and be recognized. Jim, why don't you give this? Oh, and bear with me on some of your names. I spent a lot of time in the east side of Detroit, but I'm a little rusty. Samuel E. Bechtel. Clarence A. Badillion. No. Frank H. Bigelow. Now, some of the recipients are not able to be with us for illness and other reasons. Some are out of the county, but we did not know for sure who would be back, and so we're going to read all their names anyway. Sidney Blair. Michael M. Buchanan. Mr. Buchanan. Robert G. Collins. Mr. Collins is here. Mr. Collins. Raul Conde. Oh, congratulations. I know I'm going to mess this one up. Daniel A. Cupayola. Did I come close? Joseph L. Dabrowski. Congratulations, sir. Wyatt D. Davis, Sr. Thank you, George. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
George F. Drobrina. Robert J. Dunn. This is a unique one. Hazel M. Ganest. Hazel here. I was trying to get Ken's attention and let him know that there was one woman in this group and we needed to recognize her. He didn't hear me say that. Austin Gilliam. Austin, congratulations. Edward W. Grabowski. Joseph A. Guadagnino, Sr. Edmund J. Guzik. Edmund, congratulations. Leonard H. Hawk. Thank you. William C. Henson. Amos E. Hill. Bernard F. Holland. Bert Horstmanshoff. Calvin Knowles. Calvin, congratulations. Oh, what did I do with it? Here it is. I'm sorry. Alfred T. Lawrence. Charles L. Lawson. Leslie E. Lewis, Sr. Philip H. Lockett. Congratulations. Irvin W. Maglet, Jr. Carl M. Mevs. Close. Give it to me right so I can do it right.
Thank you, sir. Oh, my. I go with you. Thank you very much.
Manus Miller. Congratulations. Anthony C. Mosca, Sr. Oh, now watch that. Congratulations. Earl W. Nagels. Edward T. Nidzilka. I don't know if I even came close on that one.
That was pretty good.
Think so? Okay. John Novak. Lloyd L. Probst. Charles L. Rayside. William R. Robb. Does your driver have a driver's license for that? Scott G. Robelier. Scott, congratulations. Horatio Rua. Edward J. Sidler. Ira A. Smith. Congratulations. Angelo Stanko. Jack K. Steffen. Carl D. Stimmerman. Stephen S. Tagliarino. Now this is the young man whose actual diploma is here. So we have the real thing. It just came today, sir. There you are. Oh, did you give it to him? I gave it to him, Mark. I'm sorry. Carmine J. Terranova. That isn't you? Well, guess what? We'll take back the other one you got. The heck with it. Well, that's close, though, isn't it? But it isn't you. That's why we thought it was you, because this was the only one we had registered. Okay.
Remember what I said earlier? What a country.
Did you vote? Well, let me just say, since we've received this, and of course, Vincent T. Tortorisi, are you here? Here we go. Well, we made another one happy. Win some, lose some. I hope you received yours already. Vedis J. Thompson. Mr. Thompson. Thank you. George K. Tobin. Moses B. Vaughn. Marcos Vega. Salvatore Vicari. William A. Wary, Jr. Thank you. Norman Woods. The four names that I am reading now, I hope if there's a representative of these gentlemen here, we'd be happy to have them come forward. These are being awarded posthumously to Chester Andrzejak, thank you for coming. Appreciate it very much. Clifford W. Denner. John F. Grix. Oscar Moreno. That's our list, folks. How about a nice hand for all these folks? Yes, sir.
I'd like to speak for all of us to thank the school board for their endeavors and for the legislature for their endeavors for us to get these diplomas. And I think I speak for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With that, do you have a closing benediction, Reverend Murray?
You know, wouldn't it be wonderful if we had all of these ROTC kids from the 3 high schools to hear your stories? Wouldn't they be wonderful? You know, it's a tribute to our country to see these young people doing what they're doing, and I commend them. So let's bow our heads. Go forth into the world in peace, be of good courage, hold fast to that which is good, render no person evil for evil, strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak, love and honor all persons, rejoicing in the power of his name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, have some refreshments.
that I brought back from the National Association of Counties, just to let you know that there are others out there that are concerned as you are and that are concerned in the nation. We meet twice a year, the National Association of Counties. So the National Association of Counties met in Charlotte 3 weeks ago, and we put forth a resolution, and I'd like to briefly read it to you. It comes from the Health Steering Committee, and I had the opportunity to meet with that committee during that week. The resolution on inclusion of prescription drug benefits, and that was in support of Congresswoman Thurman's legislation, and it was delivered to her from National Association of Counties. It reads, the administration and members of Congress have proposed expanding coverage to include a prescription drug benefit for the 39 million Medicare recipients. NACO supports the enactment of a prescription drug benefit plan that would cover all those eligible for Medicare, notwithstanding any other prescription drug benefit available to Medicare recipients, and urges members of the 106th Congress to approve this crucial proposal that is part of the modernizing and strengthening health care services in our nation. Prescription drug expenditures have grown at a double-digit rate during almost every year since 1980. In a recent report, the Healthcare Financing Administration found that spending on prescription drugs increased by 15.4% in 1998 alone. Older Americans are depending on prescription drugs more than ever in history to maintain their quality of life. Excuse me. Something in my eye. Okay. Excuse me. All righty. Older Americans are depending, prescription drugs constitute the largest out-of-pocket health care costs for seniors. Over 85% of Medicare beneficiaries take at least one prescription medicine, and that the average senior citizen fills 18 prescriptions per year. Nevertheless, every 3 or 4 seniors lack dependable drug coverage. Seniors and others who cannot afford drug coverage often do not take the drugs their doctors prescribe, and 1 in 8 seniors sometimes is forced to choose between buying food and buying medicine, as you've already heard. Those seniors and others eligible for Medicare who do not have some form of coverage, either coverage is declining or the premiums are expensive and increase with age. Today, prescription drug coverage is a standard part of any adequate health insurance plan, including virtually all employer-based plans. Seniors and other eligible for Medicare need that type of protection. The administration presentation on the benefit plan would give seniors the right to choose affordable coverage for their prescription drugs. This was passed July the 15th, 2000, and in support of Ms. Thurman's legislation. As you know, thank you very much. And we all thank her, of course. As you know, we have a petition that is out there and is encouraging all of you to join together, requesting the governor and other elected officials to join together in an emergency work group on the federal, state, and local level, along with their agencies, plus the representation of citizens and the medical community, to come together for this effort. So please sign these petitions and ask others to sign them with you. Take some of them with you and mail them back to the address that is enclosed. Just like the programs, which were already outlined here by several of the speakers, all of which are going to take time which we do not have. You know the crisis is here and now, and we have to move on. We have to continue with our fight. The reality is this in less than 5 months, you will either be paying substantially more in premiums, medical costs, and drugs, or you will not have any medical coverage at all. The affordability study report and the recommendations are not due until January 1, 2001, and that's too late. The long-term task force, which we all know about, was asked to take up the situation of prescription drugs and the HMOs. It met July 17, 2000. The priorities were to be studied over the next 6 months. And in preparation for the legislation that is going to be proposed in 2001. The priorities of the long-term care task force actually are that the availability of long-term care alternatives, the financing of long-term care, the factors that affect the nursing home quality, the liability and long-term care impact on nursing homes, the assisted living care facilities viability. HMO issues are not on the list, neither are prescription drugs. They are not even going to be addressed in that session. So that leaves us without anything until after the next session. WellCare has not yet been certified by HCFA yet. Because of the pressure, maybe they will be rushing to have that certified and push that through. And we may end up with another overpriced company without even a proven record. The problem is, I don't know, you don't know, and no one at this table really knows what their value is going to be. The citizens are in dire need of the coverage, and we cannot afford the alternatives as they are. The governor must sign an emergency order. The governor must sign an emergency order that HMOs stay in Hernando County for 1 year at this point in time. During that year, these options and other activities must be discussed, the proposed and everything else that is already in the works should be having that amount of time to be realized. A year should give ample time to replace the HMOs and have the proper drug coverage in place for those who need it. We need to bring the pressure on the governor. We don't have to go through anyone else. I have prepared a letter for you to the governor outlining that demand for 1 year extension. We need some time for all of these good things to happen. I would like to ask the committee members that are sitting right here in front of me to pull the letters out and to begin to distribute them. If you could ask some of your other committee members to help you. Please take these letters. I'm going to read the letter for you. Also, take the letters, share them with your neighbors and friends, and then mail them back to Maureen and Marie. The address is at the top. Dear Governor Bush, nearly 10,000 citizens of Hernando County are facing a crisis in less than 5 months. That crisis is a result of 2 healthcare maintenance organizations withdrawing their services from the county. Effective midnight December 31st. This means that by January 1st, 2000, that by January 1st, 2000, these 10,000 citizens will either be paying substantially more for their service, for fee. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for distributing them, and I'll just continue. They will be paying substantially more for their service for fee, medical coverage, higher medical prescription drug costs, or some will even have no coverage at all whatsoever because they cannot afford it or because they will be denied coverage due to the pre-existing medical conditions. This is not, as many maintain, a problem unique just to Hernando County, but it will be excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, they cannot whatsoever because they cannot afford it because they will be denied coverage due to pre-existing medical conditions. This is not, as many maintain, a problem unique to seniors, but in fact cuts across the spectrum of our disabled. Remember, no one's talked about disabled yet, so we are including disabled in this letter. The disabled, elderly, younger citizens, and families, realizing your reluctance to act within the authority afforded to you by Congress to force all HMOs to provide services in all Florida counties, our request is rather modest. This request is simply that you invoke this authority on a limited basis, prevailing on the two subject HMOs to extend their services to the citizens of Hernando County for 1 additional year through December 31st, 2001. This additional 1-year period for coverage will allow a number of things to transpire. The formation of an emergency work group of federal, state, and local officials, federal and state agencies, private citizens, and medical community representatives to address the problem and seek a solution on a more permanent and broader statewide level. Legislation and proposed programs currently pending at both the federal and state levels to reach conclusions, and in an orderly transition to new existing medical service programs and those not yet certified and approved by federal and state agencies to expand their services to include Hernando County without the necessary major costs to our citizens or the attendant disastrous loss of coverage. We believe this to be a reasonable request for a humane, civilized compromise to a crisis not of our making, but one which will, nevertheless, greatly and adversely impact the lives of so many of us. Therefore, we respectfully request your consideration and appropriate action. Sincerely, which is a place there for your signature. You print your name, address, city, state, and zip code, your telephone, if they could call you, and the date. Now, Maureen, ladies, your banner. What do we want? What are we asking the governor for? 1 more year. What do we want? What do we want? 1 more year. 1 more year. Now I'm asking you to go out, get those letters signed, and call Maureen and Marie when you need more, because they're going to have them ready for you. And then they will personally deliver them with several other members of the committee to the hands of Governor Bush within the month. Thank you all very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Pat. Okay, we have come to the question and answer segment. This is your meeting. We have microphones up front. We have a ton of 3x5s here. We've gone through some of them. It would really be better if each of you that could would come up to the mic, because then you can ask whoever it is here tonight the question that you want answered. Okay? So we'll do those first, the people that want to come up to the mic. Again, I have a couple of ground rules. There will be no campaigning. There will be no insurance companies speaking tonight. I got calls from 8 or 9 of them. We want the citizens whose meeting this is the Florida citizens to keep HMOs. We want those people to have the time to address our invited guests. Please state your name and where you live. Thank you.
My name is Elaine O'Brien. Can you hear me? 9403 Horizon Drive, Spring Hill, Florida. I have a statement to make. I was told at the last meeting by Russell, Mr. Russell, David Russell, that we were not going to be without an HMO, that WellCare of New York was willing or thinking about coming in here. Now, my very first thought, and I expressed myself at the meeting, was if two failed in Hernando County, why would another HMO come in? So I researched this on the internet, and I am an aficionado of the internet right now. I found out about that $1 trillion surplus in the Social Security Trust Fund just before I went to that meeting the other night. There's plenty of money if they want to administrate it to us. Now, this is what I found out before I came over here. It took me a while, but this is what I found out. 10 HMOs at risk of failing. 10 HMOs are so deep in the red that they're in imminent danger of failing, putting 500,000 customers around the country at risk of losing their health insurance, says a new study by Weiss Ratings Incorporated. If I were a consumer, I certainly wouldn't want to be in one of those plans, says Melissa Gannon, Vice President of Weiss Ratings, an independent health care rating company based in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. Guess who's on the list? WellCare of New York. Capital deficit $17,117,828. Total enrollment 57,000 people. I think this is like the Ponzi scheme. These were singled out because their capital deficits as of 3/31/99, which run as high as $23 million, having a capital deficit is a major red flag. Capital is a vital cushion that insurance companies fall back on when they're faced with unexpected claims, bad investments, or other losses. These companies can't even support minor losses because they don't have the capital to draw from. One other comment, and then I'm going to close. The Health Care Association of New York President Daniel Sisto says, April 22nd, the WellCare Management Group, Incorporated WellCare of New York, would pay less than half the estimated $25 million in claims it owes to hospitals and other health care providers who treated WellCare enrollees. In other words, the sale of WellCare will result in a multi-million-dollar loss for the hospitals that serve its enrollees in the Hudson River Valley and west of the Finger Lakes, and that's the best scenario. WellCare's announcement of its proposed sale of its commercial business, blah, 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 of Florida also stated that if these transactions are not completed, the company could be taken over by the state of New York. In other words, hospitals are being told to accept a fraction of what they are owed. That's so much for WellCare. It sounds like the Ponzi scheme. They can't make it in New York, they come down here, they get the premiums from us, they push it up to the top, and when there's no more enrollees, they collapse and we're left without insurance. That's all I have to say.
Okay, we'll take one from the other side to make it even.
Yes, my name is Diane Kujat. I live at 8516 Bay Drive in Spring Hill. And I'd like to thank Pat Novi for mentioning the disabled. I'm not a senior citizen. I'm not retired. I am on disability. I'm a cancer survivor. And thank you. I run a very high risk of it returning, and I have an HMO that are pulling out. It's AvMed. I've been paying $93 a month to keep it. I can't afford to go without it. And if the cancer comes back, where am I going to be? I can't afford chemo. I can't afford more radiation. I'm lost without it. And somebody's got to see that there are a lot of people out there, not just the seniors, but there's a lot of people besides that, too, that really rely on this. And I'm just telling you that we need you people to do something for us, very desperately. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen, and the honored guests at the podium. I was there that day at the Enrichment Center with Maureen. In the months that she and her group have worked diligently and successfully for all of us. I'm honored to speak here tonight. Unknown to me, though, when I wrote what I was going to speak, Maureen and I had the same thoughts, so it's going to be a repetition. Please bear with me. I do want to say that the Spring Hill Garden Club was also one of those who was behind all the ethnic and state clubs that we have. This is what I wrote last night. Please bear with me. Endangered species, from insects to manatees. What about the elderly who need help to stay alive? Will we be like the dinosaurs? Go down in the history books, here today, but who knows next month? America is a wonderful country, as you all know. I needn't list all the advantages, but it is still for Americans, not for all the other countries in the world who owe us billions and billions of dollars and still ask for more. We can see this right here in Miami. Doesn't Miami belong to Florida? As we have just seen with that Elian fiasco, immigrants who receive all the benefits that our citizens are entitled to and then go against us. Why do our men and women who have sacrificed in so many ways, depression, wars, illnesses, get the short end of the stick? All those who give us empty talk, tell them too might be a senior citizen someday. Of course, present company accepted. Not all of us have had plush jobs, pensions, annuities, stocks. Why are we discriminated for growing older and needing medical help? The Congress votes raises for themselves. Besides all the perks they receive, free medical, free trips, free prescriptions, even free mailing privileges, and our stamps will be going up. Let them stop giving themselves all that tax-free income. Write to them, as we have said here tonight. Tell them, think of us. Someday, if you are lucky, you may reach the good age. But beware of the selfish governments, whether they are Democrats, Republicans, or independents. Tell them to beware. We are on the march.
Okay, Adelaide, we're right behind you. Okay, we'll take one right on, Adelaide. Okay. We'll take one
Thank you, Maureen.
from the left.
My name is Pete Enwall, that's E-N-W-A-L-L, and I'm from Gainesville, Florida. In keeping with Maureen's spirit, I will simply say that I'm a candidate. I won't say what it's for, and this is not a political speech. Within the last month, the U.S. House of Representatives has passed a pretty good, affordable prescription drug bill. It's being considered in the Senate. There's a good chance it will be passed in substantially similar form by the Senate and sent to President Clinton for signature. Would you also recommend that this group encourage President Clinton to sign the bill if it comes to him? And what do you think the chances are of President Clinton actually signing the bill?
Is that a question to me?
It's a question for the panel and those who addressed it.
The President will not sign the legislation that was passed by the U.S. House of Representatives because it only goes as incentives to private insurance companies who said in the committee, and I listened and I asked the question to Mr. Khan, who is their lobbyist. He said, we will not give a freestanding drug benefit. Absolutely will not happen. Or to give incentives to HMOs. In the President's plan, it would be a Medicare benefit, and for those who have HMOs and or private insurance plans, that we would put $2 billion in the first year, and we would continue to put $25 billion into those HMOs so that people who have managed care get the same benefit. But it would be a Medicare benefit, not more incentives for insurance companies who said they wouldn't do it.
Gentleman to my right.
My name is Steve Mattingly. I'm the president of the local AARP chapter of Spring Hill. I've been doing a lot of research on health problems and available health programs that are available to the people in the community. And I also have written my letters to Karen Thurman, Bob Graham, and Connie Mack. So far, I haven't received an answer yet from Bob Graham or Connie Mack, but hopefully in the future I do before it's too late. The AARP program right now, as much as I want to say, is it a good program? Are they offering what we need? No, it's not. It is an expensive program, and there is work there that we have to do. One of the things that I see in my work and trying to get the point across to our representatives in Washington, D.C. I see that our senators are hurting us more than our Congress people are. I think their lack of concern and not getting this and taking a step forward and letting the people know. I don't think they can prioritize the importance of prescription drugs and the importance of it to seniors over 65 years old. It's very important. They got 5 months till the end of this year. I don't believe they're going to do anything. I believe it's the Senate that's going to hold us up on this. And this is really, I think, at this time, it's a sad situation for us. You know, my question is right now is, Karen Thurman, is how much longer is the Senate going to hold us back on this issue?
I'm not in the Senate, and I don't know that I could answer that question for you. But always trying to be optimistic. The one thing that can happen is as we go into negotiations in the last 30 days, and as has been mentioned several times here today, it is an election year. And it's going to require people within the country to just flat let their representatives know that they want something passed. Or, more importantly, and I can be a little political here, to the majority party who sets the agenda. And when they don't schedule a vote, we can't get a piece of legislation on the floor other than through some amendatory process. In the Senate, there's a little bit easier way of doing that if you can ever get a piece of legislation up that in fact would be somewhat germane. In the House side, you're blocked totally through the Rules Committee. But I can't tell you. I don't know. Maybe Susan can give you a better idea of what's going to happen in the Senate. And the only thing that I can be is somewhat optimistic in the final days of the session when people have to go home and face the voters, that there might be some
We also have 3 more counties that you can add to that list pulling out. You've got Orange County, Osceola, and Seminole are now pulling out. That was given to me this afternoon by Fayette Wings from Orlando. He's right.
Okay, thank you.
Just one point on that. It was about a month ago, Senator Graham was able to offer his prescription drug benefit plan to one of the appropriation bills, and it was not passed. And I don't know what the vote count was, but I'm sure it's pretty much along party lines. So that, for that reason, they have voted on Senator Graham's specific plan in the Senate, and it was not passed, and he's still pursuing it, but it has to come from you to get them to move on it.
we need to get the message out to our senators.
Okay, thank you. I have a question to my left.
My name is James Nico. I'm from Brooksville. I'd like to know a couple things. First, I just moved here from Arizona about 4 years ago, and we had HMOs leaving the state. 30 days later, come back in with a new name, charging more money, less benefits. That is a straight no-no as far as I'm concerned. One thing that I would like to, Congressman Thurman, when you go back to Congress, everything is done on the formulary. Everything is done by numbers. You know, formulary for this, formulary for that. I would like you to ask them one question for me, and please get me the answer. How many senior citizens must die before we get help?
Fair enough question. And I will say to you this, that one of the things, because of where I live and the demographics of the state of Florida, what I have tried to do over the last couple of years, as we have done with the Veterans Health Care, where we were able to bring about $260–70 million new dollars into the state of Florida because of the funding formula changes. And I will say thanks to Senator Graham, Senator McCain, who was a big help on that, and the people over there. And secondly, we've tried to do something on the Medicaid funding formula because it's based on a per capita as versus real numbers that we believe it should be based on. But part of our problem is the Northeast, who has actually lost population, and as some of you know from Michigan and Pennsylvania and others that are sitting in this room, have moved to Florida, and we think some of those dollar formulas should be changed. And the way that we're going to start doing that is as we get more population in the Sun Belt areas, that too will make a big difference in our clout in Congress, and well, mostly in Congress, and making sure that we can get some of those dollars back into Florida. So if you didn't do your census, you need to, so we make sure that everybody counts.
I called both of the senators and their local Florida officers. I got a big mouth. I'll call anybody. And I'm not afraid of anybody. And I talked to their representatives. They said that's a county issue. We've got nothing to do with it. They need to be voted out of there.
Right.
That the formulas were because I can't speak for him, but I know that when I was doing the work on the veteran stuff, that Senator Graham and Senator McCain were the ones that did the veterans formula, or helped change the veterans formula.
Well, they need to talk to the people in office, in their offices, to talk differently to people.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. To my right.
Hi, my fellow refugees. Not unlike that lovely woman that came up, I'm also a cancer survivor. I'm very grateful for what Humana did. I'm very short, aren't I?
Okay.
Okay. I'm very grateful for the care that Humana did give to me. They gave me an additional 2 years, and I am still in remission. The only problem I have is the doctors couldn't give me a time to die. But HMO has, because when they expire on 12/31/2000, I will expire approximately 6 hours later without my medication. How dare they? How dare they take my life that God allowed me to stay here, and I fought for 3 long, hard years to stand up on my 2 feet and walk alone, and kill me. How dare they? How dare our government allow it? And I'm angry for everyone, not just for myself, because life is precious. I do not intend for it to be taken from me because of greed.
Hi, my name is Dr. John Batista. I have a lot of my patients here in the building right now. I'm here in behalf of our group of physicians. We have 60 physicians, and many of the patients here actually belong to our Seniors Quality Medical Center, Seniors Quality Medical Care. We're a bunch of HMO providers, including Humana, Health Options, and various other insurances. And primarily I'm here to inform people about what's really going on and stop the misinformation. One of the problems is that I've been reading the newspaper, and that people are getting extremely riled up and are basically given information that's not true. The first speaker that we had here today was talking about WellCare of New York coming into this county. That is totally false. The WellCare of New York has nothing to do with the WellCare that's coming into this county. One of the first things you need to do is get your information squared away before you start making rash decisions. I'm looking in the newspaper, and it's talking about people moving out of the county to Pasco County, selling their houses, and it's just not, you're not thinking rationally at this point. What you need to do is sit down and talk to your physicians in a rational manner. How many people have actually talked to their physician as to what's going on in the county and with the HMOs? What kind of answers are they giving you? Well, I'm here to provide you the answer right now because I'm the president of the SQMC IPA. We have, over the last few months, basically been in negotiation with WellCare, which is a local company. It has nothing to do with New York. The owner is a local physician. His name is Kiran Patel out of Tampa. He used to be a Humana physician. He ran Humana centers in Tampa itself, made their centers profitable, and turned their deficits into a profit for them to keep the HMOs in Tampa. The gentleman that's running this company is extremely versed on medical issues. He knows what he's doing. It's a good company. And we've basically, our 60 physicians have signed the contract with this company to bring WellCare into the county to save your insurance. The misinformation in the newspaper and here today it's mind-boggling. What people need to know is that the insurance company is signing an agreement with us. It's going to give you the same benefits basically that you have right now with Humana at the same cost. Well, that's the next issue. Now I'm going to tell you, the issue is people are asking, why did Humana leave? And I can tell you the answer to that too. Excuse me? No, it's not greed. No, that's not the answer either. All right, let me, if you want the answers, I can tell you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let him, he was asked a question, let him answer.
The reason why Humana is leaving the county is because they signed a contract that's statewide with HCA Columbia, which basically overpaid HCA Columbia every time each one of you went into their hospitals, whether it be Bayonet Point, HCA Columbia, Oak Hill on Route 50, or no matter what hospital it was in the entire state of Florida. People need to be working with their physicians to maintain control on the cost of medical care. Their costs became so large because of the contract that they signed with the HCA Columbia, they just can't afford to stay here. HCA Columbia is being reimbursed 165% of Medicare reimbursement. All right? You know as well as I know, if you keep on writing checks that basically are more than what's inside your account, you're going to go bust, and that's exactly what's happening at this point. What people need to do is, number one, talk to their physicians about staying on formulary medications, using generic medications whenever possible to keep down the costs to yourselves and to the physician and the insurance company so that they stay in the county. And number two, when possible, using more cost-effective hospitals. whether it means, having to travel 7 miles to a different hospital to go to that hospital to save money, to maintain the insurance company in this county. I mean, that's a sacrifice you're going to have to do. But you have to work on these things with your physician. Excuse me?
If you would like to ask a question, I think the better thing would be to get up to the mic so that everybody can hear instead of having cross conversations. Okay, Doctor, I think they've just about asked all the questions. We appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you. To my right.
Betty Whitehouse, and I'd like to ask Karen and also Representative Argenzianos when we are going to begin to address the issue of the drug companies and what they're charging us for the prescription drugs here in the United States. I really think when we talk about the problems with the HMOs and we talk about the cost of health care, sooner or later we have to address the fact that drug companies have, their costs are increasing twice as fast as any other health care cost. And here in the state of Florida, in the spring, we continued to have a negative formulary kept in place, which meant that your doctor couldn't order prescription drugs for you for Coumadin or many of the medications that are very important for people who have chronic illnesses, whether they're elderly or whether they're chronically ill. And I don't think it's fair in this state. We're one of very few states in the United States that has a negative formulary. The negative formularies were developed when generic drugs first came out and no one knew whether they were safe. So if your doctor thinks it's safe for you to take the generic form of Lanoxin, then I think that's your decision and your doctor's. The state shouldn't say, you can't buy the cheaper drug. And that's what we have right now. And I'd like to know why that wasn't addressed. That's
I don't know that I can respond.
No, I meant for that
okay.
one for her. I wanted to talk to you on the federal level.
I don't know about the formulary part of this either. I do know when Representative Argenziano sponsored her prescription drug bill this past session, we spent a year doing research on the cost of drugs. We were looking at seniors who were going to Mexico to buy drugs for cheaper prices and to Canada. And in her original bill, she was addressing that issue, and I can't get into the logistics of all of this. What she basically tried to do was to create a state purchasing agent. And this was not just for senior citizens, this was for everyone. And it was sort of a program like maybe an HMO for prescription drugs. Citizens would pay a certain amount each year to be a part of this state buying plan and would have a copay on their prescription drugs.
But this was totally different. This is really where the DuPont Drug Company continued to make a great deal of money because we couldn't buy the generics here in the state. It's a separate bill.
Okay.
It was a separate totally issue.
Yeah, well,
but I'd like to
I can't address that. Yeah.
I'd like to address with Karen, when are we as a country going to address the fact that we should not have to pay for all the research for these drug companies? Oh. You know, to go to Canada, to go to Mexico, to buy your drugs. And in England has price controls on their drugs there. So the drugs that are made here, we're paying beaucoup money for.
Well, we just struck a real blow to the pharmaceutical companies within the last 3 weeks when we passed fairly overwhelmingly a reimportation bill which would allow medicines to come in from Mexico and from Canada where we could buy them at the prices that they're buying them. They are not happy with us, I can assure you. The other thing, yeah, I know, we're crying all the way, right? The other thing, and I actually tried to run an amendment twice now that would have, by the way, cost nothing to the federal government. This would, besides the prescription drug benefit, would have cost the federal government nothing if we would have bought as we do for the VA system, as we do buy in the states for Medicaid, as we do buy for federal employees, where we would have put them under the federal supply system, where we actually would have bought them at a reduction of, depending on what the medicines were, between 40 and 50%. Now, in saying that, I think we have to be careful, because part of the research that we're talking about here is called marketing research. And one of the things that's happened is that we have an expectation because it shows up on the TV. And quite frankly, there are some medicines that are out there that are not as good as what some of our old medicines are. So I would kind of say with Dr. Batista and others, as you go to your physician, you need to ask those questions, but make sure that you get, you know, the formularies were done saying that, you know, this could be just the same medicine at a lesser cost. And those are not bad ideas, quite frankly. We need to be looking at that lower cost, because if we don't, we're just going to allow drug companies to continue to keep those high prices on those, you know, the ones that we all hear about, Claritin or whomever, and may not necessarily be the same. But I would caution that on a formulary that we make sure that we have the alternative and that is as good, and that the doctor has the last say, not the formulary.
I just want to comment on the negative drug formulary, which is part of Florida law that Betty brought up. That was up this year in legislation, and I believe it passed the Senate, but it was not allowed on the House floor. And it's a list of drugs that are used in other states, and generics, if they have a generic bioequivalent, they're allowed to use in other states. This year, this legislation probably will come forward again, and I'm working with some private citizens and with some physicians, and hopefully we'll get this on your agenda as well, that if we get enough support, we can have our legislature pass that bill to abolish that formulary so that you, with your physician, can determine if the generic medication is appropriate for you. Then you would have a choice between the generic or the brand name, and certainly if you're able to use it and have a cost savings, that's a savings to you in the area of medication, which is extremely important, the #1 issue we're talking about, and it doesn't cost anything except open up the market. And that will hopefully, when you have market competition, as you know, prices drop. You will benefit then, not only from the fact that you could use a generic with your physician's approval, but also the market will bring prices down. So that there are about 10 to 12 drugs on that list, and there are a number of them that do have generic bioequivalents, but they are not available under legislation in Florida. So I'm going to be working on that, and during the process getting ready for the next legislative session. So if you hear about it and if you're asked to sign a petition for that, and that's what it's about, and it means you have choices, and you can certainly work with your physician to determine if the generic is appropriate for you. But you'll have options, and options you are entitled to, as so many other states have right now. Thank you.
Excuse me, but we have to limit time. I have people over...
I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, okay, fine, because we have people over here. And those that are out in the lobby, would they please keep the sound down because you're interrupting the meeting? Thank you very much.
My name is Rose Nardone, and I'm from Spring Hill, but I would rather say I am from Hernando County. Not Brooksville, not Spring Hill, Hernando County. And this shows me that when there's a problem here, we're all going to get together and we're going to be behind one another to fight this. And I would like to know, I see there's a chair up there and it says Florida Governor Jeb Bush. Where the hell is he? Tell him to get off of his duff and get over here. You got people here, they don't know where their last dollar is coming from. They don't know where they're going to get the money to pay for their medication. You had these HMOs coming into Hernando County. They were whining and dining the people. They're going to give you this, they're going to give you that. Well, now, all of a sudden, they're not going to be here. They want to move out. Oh, yeah? Well, I'm going to tell you something. Karen, I love you, and I love everyone that's up there because we're going to kick their butts. And we're going to show them that we're going to fight this thing. And we're going to show the governor of the state, you haven't heard the last from Hernando County. You may think we're a bunch of backward people. Well, boy, we're not, Governor Bush. Watch out for us, and your brother better watch out.
It's a shame she's so bashful, right? Okay, thank you very much. Question.
I'm going to help you out. To Bush, here's your first signature for petition. Now I have two questions, okay? One to our state representative. Why can't you force a special legislative session this year to do something about this? The second one is I'm going to ask our federal representatives on the drug things, okay? If the drug companies are doing all this advertisement, why don't you send a bill in Congress and say you cannot deduct this as a business expense because you're not supposed to advertise drugs. That's a medical decision. It's not something you should be forcing on the American people.
And I think that's a very good idea. And I think that, quite frankly, you're going to see more and more of that kind of legislation than we've seen in the past because I think people are mad. You know what they did in Maine. You know what the state of Maine did?
Tell me what they do.
It was great. Anybody from Maine? I actually left my tonsils there because my dad was in the Air Force. They passed a law that said that the pharmaceutical companies could not sell for any more than what they sell the drugs for in Canada. So, now I think, and I will tell you the other issue, besides the advertising issue, I think the other issue that's going to start to hit is that they get about 40% more in research tax incentives than any other research companies in the country. And that's another area, and we are looking at these issues.
Thank you. How about the state representatives now? They want to try a special session. They always call special sessions when they want to get something done. Well, we want something done. We want a special session.
Well, I will certainly take that message back with me. You've caught me. I don't know my rules of the House on that particular issue, especially in light of the fact that we're in an election year.
That's why they should do something. They want to get elected.
No, I'm saying because there are certain rules for the House with, and I think it has to do with the IRS and all of that, that everything from the past legislature had to have been accounted for and done by the 31st of July. And you can't, I don't know how you could call a special session of the representatives right now. Maybe you can, but I just don't know my rules.
Well, I think Jeb Bush can do it if we put pressure on him.
Okay.
I forgot something, may I?
Oh, yes.
I forgot to tell you, my name is Adeline. I live on Siam Drive in Spring Hill. I've been here for 13 years, and I want to thank every one of you who came by and helped us with the donations. I know I was a little too persuasive to say even 50 cents, but we appreciate it so very, very much. It'll be going to a good cause. We're marching on.
Thank you, Adelaide. Oh, excuse me, Roy.
I think the doctor, is the doctor still here? Is that a doctor that spoke a while ago? Is he gone? Huh?
Could you get closer to the microphone, please?
Is the doctor still here that spoke?
Yes, it was Dr. Batista that spoke a little while ago.
Is he still here?
No.
Well, I just wanted to say this will be a wonderful time for him to make an example of you know, for the other doctors. This woman has just said that she's going to die. She needs a medicine. This doctor could provide that medicine for that woman, for this lady right here. And he could set an example for these other doctors if he really believes that's the answer to this situation. And I just wanted to ask him, but he evidently left us. But there's one thing here that I want to say, that one of our representatives was a speaker at the meeting the other day at the Department of Elder Affairs. He said the government should not overregulate private insurance companies. Fearing government would really mess it up. He said he supported a current government plan, such as increasing Medicare payments to insurance companies by 5% to coax them, to coax the HMOs. I got to think, what does coax mean? And I looked it up. I got some other words for it here, and it says urge, persuade, cajole, wheedle.
What was his name?
Wheedle. You ever heard of the, you know what? Anybody want to know what wheedle?
What was his name?
It says, I looked up wheedle in the dictionary, Webster, and it said beg. It says to beg. This representative of ours wants us to beg the HMOs to stay here in Hernando County. And I don't know, I just hardly don't feel like begging right now. I feel like doing what our leader here wants to do with Florida citizens to keep HMOs here. I think we ought to be out there and maybe kick a little butt or something. We got to get some action on going here somewhere.
Thank you, Roy. Okay.
Ladies, distinguished guests, committee people, and all those that worked hard to bring this program, and you, the people, the most important asset out there. My name is Bob Kaspersky. I'm president of the National Organization of Hernando County on Disabilities. With me in the audience is my Vice President Jean, the Secretary Doris, and a couple of board members that are here. We take notes of what's happening here. We don't have big mouths except for mine. I'm not afraid to speak my piece. I'm an ex-Marine. That American flag right there, I wake up with it every morning. I'm proud of that flag. I'm proud of the freedom of choice. I don't want one HMO in this county. I don't want to have to be a refugee and go to Miami. I'm a dead man. I've got a year and a half to live. I just was told by the state of New Jersey, the doctors up there, I might have 8. I'm grateful for that. I'm still here fighting for everything, my family, for you. If any place else, I have to go and do it. If I cannot walk, I'll do as I was trained. I will crawl, but I will not retreat. I will not turn my back. This HMOs are important to you on your drugs and every other medical aspect. As these ladies pointed out to you, this is not no gift. You're no beggar. You're not here on charity. You paid your dues. You supported the Second World War. Some of you from the First. You supported the Korean War. You supported the Vietnam era. And a little bullshit in between. In doing so, there was no cure for the heartache. There's no medication for that, for the memories when you lost your loved ones. But the anguish that you have to go. I know I chewed my wife out over $82 when she bought me some pills, and I said, we don't need them pills. She says, you need them. I said, to hell with them pills. The doctor's wrong. I'm not going to take them. I couldn't get my $82 back because that's the law. But I didn't take the pills. That had nothing to do with my health declining. I could not personally afford this medication at this time. My medication bill is somewhere around $700. I receive an $800 check from Social Security Disability, which I have been disabled for 30-some years. I've been made a professional cripple by the insurance companies. Social Security, when you get a review letter, half those things in there are from me. In 1973-74, I worked with Senator Doyle on the President's Committee, bringing all this handicap awareness programs that you've seen today, about that curve, about the height, about this, about opening these doors. I've trained young people in schools, ones that would tear each other's apart. I've done my share of volunteering. I'm not bragging, I'm not looking for no certificates of merit. I have very few because I'm not afraid to get up in front and speak. And when I speak, I might hurt your feelings, and I'm not going to apologize for that, because maybe a feeling needs to be hurt to get you into action, to make you stand up like you did today. You're here because of a threat you're going to lose, and you didn't want to lose. I'm going to take you back to a disabled person. 30, 40 years is what you have to earn a living to prepare yourself to become a senior citizen, to put money aside, to prepare you to spend all the money for doctors when you hit 65. That's your good time. Enjoy it. If you get past that, make 70, wonderful. Save for the grandkids. But the fact is, look back with the disabled person who didn't have a job, couldn't get a job, has been on, not handouts, but Medicare and so forth, and just barely getting by or whatever. This person don't have this money to do all this here stuff. They need these HMOs to help supplement these medical bills. They need other medicines coming in, which finally Congress is going to pass some kind of a bill. And I say to you, commissioners, if these things don't happen, that lady said she's going to die without her medication. Yes, she's going to die without her medication. But you know what's going to happen? You're going to put her on injured in care. She's going to have to sell her house, liquidate her assets, and so forth. You're going to put her on injured in care. Right. Who pays for that? You, the people. In one form, you, the people, are paying. Demand your dues. We've got this right. They want to party in Philadelphia? Great. I enjoyed watching it. Sorry I couldn't be there. Like you say, where's Jeb Bush? It wasn't important enough. The right to assemble is ours. Under our constitutions, we've got these rights. They don't want to come out? Make them come out. Are they working 8 hours a day, 24 hours a day? I didn't remember when I voted, it didn't say how many hours he was going to work. So I'm not too sure what to do right now. But if y'all want to get a bus, I can't take that bus ride that long, but I'll be there. I'll take my little RV that I bought secondhand because I have to lay down when I drive. So every so far, my wife drives with me. I'll be there, and I'll stand up where I can. And if I have to bare my arms, by golly, I'm still an ex-Marine for this country.
Thank you, Bob.
I want everything. I need the help. The disabled people want the help. They're proud people. I don't want you to open the door for me. I will open the door myself. I was trained to do it. But I need your help to get the medications. I need your help to keep my research going. And I need your help to make sure I stay healthy in a good program plan. And it takes all of us working together. So please, and I don't like to use the word please, join hands. Form the union that we need to make sure our representatives, or who has to get this word back. I don't have tomorrow because the good Lord never guaranteed me tomorrow. He did guarantee me today. And I need today so I can look at tomorrow. So please help us.
Thank you. Thank you. Shirley?
I'm Shirley Phillips, and as one speaker said, I live in Spring Hill, but I am Hernando County. And I expect to be counted. Now, I just have a question to ask, because if I go into my situation with no medical insurance and have to pay when you go to the doctors, and if you take to the emergency and spend 4 hours in the emergency because you think you're having a heart attack, you get a bill for $3,800, and the doctor bill is not there yet. So I won't go into that, but what I would like to ask the panel tonight is that has anyone ever looked into social medicine? And if you don't, I think we are having enough problems that someone should research social medicine. Now, I understand that these HMO people and AdMed people are people that are what you would call free enterprise. Now, why are we having free enterprise dictating to us as commissioners and taxpayers and not having them in the whole state of Florida, or not just in the whole state of Florida, because I understand they are in other states. So why aren't we having them straight across the board in the country, giving the same care as everybody else should be having? We need them to come up to the same level in every state, because I think that is only what is going to be the solution of everything.
Okay, who would like to answer that question?
As I said earlier, that was part of the piece of legislation that I had put in to provide parity, to bring up both the reimbursement so that there was parity across, because I agree with you, and in fact, as I said earlier, have raised that particular question to panels of folks before the Congress. How, as a Medicare recipient, do I go home and say to my constituents, whether it's Hernando County, whether it's Columbia County, whether it's Levy County, that just because somebody lives in Dade County, they get more than the benefits that the people in Hernando County do, and they pay no premium, and Hernando County residents do. And that is in my, and I feel the same way. I think that is discrimination. And I am surprised, quite frankly, that there has not been suits filed on discrimination of Medicare, because you paid in just like everybody else did. You ought to have the same benefits, you ought to have the prescription drug, and you ought to have eyeglasses or dental. But if you can offer it in one setting, then you ought to be able to offer it in the other setting, or we've discriminated against every Medicare patient in this country.
Thank you. Okay, Marge.
My name is Marge DeBona, and this is for Congresswoman Karen Thurman. I was handed this card by somebody in the audience, and I want to say I'm very proud to be with the Florida citizens to keep HMO. The question is, I hope I can read the handwriting. Is it true Hernando could be declared a distressed area and an HMO coming into the county could get increased funds? How does this work?
Yes. In the buyback legislation last year, there was a provision put in that for areas where HMOs have pulled out and there is no HMOs left, that what they would do, kind of goes back to this incentive issue, is you actually could, or the HMO could get up to an additional 5% for the first one coming in. So if everybody leaves here, which is what's happened, it becomes distressed. If, say, WellCare comes in and is the first one to be able to service Hernando County, then they would get a 5% incentive bonus for doing that. No other HMO after that would be able to, but that was tried to bring people back in. But yes, that is available.
Thank you. To my right.
My name is Edgar Prather. I live in Hernando County. Pat Novi knows me. And what I'd like to say about this is, you know, you people send these petitions and take these bus rides up there and tell all these people all this stuff and everything. That ain't going to do it. They're going to laugh at you, throw that stuff in the garbage, and they're going to come right back with the same old BS. The only way to get this thing straightened out is vote everybody out of office that's in office right now that ain't doing anything about it, and start from scratch. If you think that won't work, If you think that won't work, just get together, stick together one time and try it and see what happens. Them politicians find out they got to go out and work for a living, they're going to sing a different song. If you think I'm BSing, just vote them out one time and see what happens. No idle threats, promises. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Connie DeZirco, and I live in Hernando County. I'd like to thank everybody who spoke today and all of you that are up there. The doctor spoke about misinformation out there and HMOs and so forth. There are some facts that all of us don't know about. One is you spoke December 31st, and if you're having a problem with your specialist and so on, and call somebody or somebody. A lot of the doctors here, as of September 1, not December 31, September 1, are telling us they are off this Humana plan. That's number one. 2, Hernando Diagnostic Center accidentally sent all the Humana people bills. And when you called to find out why they were billing you instead of your insurance people, the answer was it was a computer glitch. Okay, well, it says clearly to us, not only are they dumping the doctors, they are planning to close their books now on us. You know, they're cutting their costs and their overhead, and the cost and the overhead is us. And then the other problem that's happening here is you have a lot of insurance companies talking about Medigap policies. They come to the meetings, you see them in the grocery stores. You are an endangered species because they are preying on you. And the policies are inadequate for your prescriptions. And furthermore, if you are a disabled person, you can't even get coverage. They don't even talk to you. I was in the Humana office here yesterday, and right away, what's your age? I said, I'm 56. Oh, well, we can sell you a Medigap policy. How old are you? I said, I'm 56 years old. Oh, you must be disabled. I said, yes, sir. Oh, well, we don't have anything for you. I said, in other words, SOL. And that's what it amounts to. And then I asked the question, for those of you who don't know, Humana, a lot of counties, including Pasco and all the rest of the counties in Florida, think that you may have a 5-year contract with them. Got news for you. I asked the man, how long is the contract? If there is such a thing, this is some misinformation that's going out to our people. When did the contract get signed? He said, oh, we have no such thing. It's a year-to-year contract, which means they are at liberty to cancel it any year that they decide to cancel it. And as far as the people, everybody you talk to, all the politicians, all the people out there signing petitions, you're not going to make a difference. You can go to Tallahassee, you can go to Washington, you can do this, you can do that. You're not going to make a difference. But I assure you, if you unite, you will make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, and that's why we're here, because we are going to unite, not just Hernando, but the other counties and then nationwide. Remember that. Next question.
Yeah, I have a statement. My name is Sal DeVito, and I'm an attorney here in Spring Hill. I work with a lot of the local physicians, and I'm involved in a lot of the healthcare issues. As such, I follow these issues very carefully. And one of the points I want to make to your group, so when you do go to Tallahassee, you can raise this issue with the folks up there, and that is this. A lot of these HMOs are not leaving the county, they're going out of business. Okay, they go under for one reason: poor management and self-aggrandizement. The top executives of these HMOs take care of themselves way too often. I was in New York 2 weeks ago, and as reported in the one of the New York papers, HIP, which many of you know, if you're from New York City, covers 220,000 retirees from New York and the state of Florida. And guess what? The HIP subsidiary of Florida is now under the state auspices of the Department of Insurance, which regulates them, because they're losing too much money and they're below their reserve requirements. And do you know how they got there? It was reported that the president of HIP in New York comes down once a month to the state of Florida, I guess for his vacation, and they've rented him a Jaguar for when he comes, and a $7,000 a month luxury condominium for his stay. So what's happening is many of these HMOs that are going out of business and going under and cannot deliver the benefits to you folks are using your premium dollars to take care of the people at the top, live a great lifestyle, and when it's all over with, pull their golden parachute and leave. And you need to bring that to the attention of the people in Tallahassee and demand that they take a harder look at these folks and regulate them more thoroughly, which they can do under the Department of Insurance. Thank you.
And thank you. Maybe you'd like to come to Tallahassee with us.
My name is Armando Champa. Am I too loud? My name is Armando Champa, and I'm a resident of Hernando County. Before the meeting, we took a pledge to the flag, which in part states, an equal justice for all. Are we in the same country? If this ever happened,